Hello everyone, this is Asnointia here. Welcome to Asnointia Audio. The topic of this audio recording is about the similarities and differences and karmic hope. What is karmic hope? I'll get into that in a moment. These are similarities and differences that I have seen throughout my readings when I do love readings, when I do past life readings where I see what an individual is feeling for another. This is basically regarding twin flames, soulmates, and karmic partners. There are other types of spiritual connections, but for me, these are the top 3 that I have seen that are the most intense type of connections. I already have some videos up, and I'll be putting the links below for you to view those particular videos. This is all about what and who are twin flames, what and who are karmic partners, what and who are soulmates. So these kind of connections I've seen are very intense, and because they have a spiritual basis, it's above and beyond what an individual can sometimes tolerate in life. We meet someone and we feel as if we've known them from before. Where? God knows. We are never able to understand or see the truth behind why we feel a certain way regarding an individual. We have this instinct, this feeling as if I've known this person before, the feeling of home, the feeling that you can talk to them about anything and not fear that they're going to judge you. These are very common feelings and emotions I've seen throughout my readings that people have when they are in a spiritually based romantic connection. Starting off with the twin flame. Now, I do have a video on this already. I have 2 actually on this channel so far. And just a brief overview. This is somebody who is cut from the same cloth as you. In this type of a connection, sometimes when you meet an individual, you will have a physical reaction, and it's not voluntary. It's involuntary, happens from the inside. Sometimes it can actually come out as almost, it feels like a bolt of lightning. And if it's not, then you feel this sudden rush of warmth, and sometimes some people feel warmth coming from the other person's torso, their chest. This is their aura mixing in with yours because you are intertwined. Some people can feel this who are enlightened, very spiritual. Some people cannot. When we are in this type of a connection with an individual, maybe we met them at work, perhaps we met them while we're at the coffee shop, wherever it is. Typically, twin flames come into our lives when we are already attached to another individual. Now, the other individual that you're with could also be someone from your past life. The majority of the time, it is. That person could have been engaged to you in the past life. That person could have been married to you in the past life. And so in this lifetime, you've already committed to that person and you're with them. However, all of a sudden, boom, you meet another individual during a time when there's a crisis in your life. Either there's a crisis in their life or in your life, but there's a reason why this individual has come in to your life. A lot of people ask me this question: why did this person come into my life? To make my life hell? ? They are upset, and it makes sense because this type of a connection is very, very hurtful. Once you get intimate, if you become involved with each other, it becomes extremely difficult to make certain life decisions, to move on, not knowing what to do, because you'll need to leave somebody in order to be with this person. Now, that's not always the case, but majority of the time, that is what I've seen. There's also an age gap. There's also a gap between an individual that may be very established and somebody that's not so established, it's this duality, absolute opposites in a way. However, there's also those similarities where you may have the same type of hobbies, or your natural abilities, your talents may be very similar. So there are those things. But what I'm wanting to talk about is the karmic part of these things. It's very strange when I do these readings, when I'm intuitively seeing the type of relationship this is in my mind's eye. I will see the name, but I'll also see a percentage, which sounds really weird. Now, I also have Angel Fakeel, and you can read a little bit about her on my homepage. She also confirms and lets me know if this is accurate or not. It's been quite common that I've had readings where an individual is not only a twin flame, but they're a twin flame plus a karmic partner. What on earth does that mean? Very confusing. I did a reading recently, and it was the twin flame being 90% and 10% karmic partner. What this means is that in a past life, or it could be a future life that hasn't happened yet, in whatever lifetime, whether it's in the future or in the past, the type of relationship that exists or that is going to exist has karma involved. Now, karma, in that case, is not good, meaning that in a past life, if you were both together, that means that somebody hurt someone emotionally, maybe even physically. But that karma lasts, whether it's within that life, within that lifetime, or it's supposed to be in a lifetime in the future that hasn't actually happened yet. Now, that's a totally separate topic, and I will get into that as well, just to give you a better understanding as to what I mean by future lives and past lives. But these type of connections we have, they do have the ability of changing. Now, when I look at a twin flame plus karmic partner combination, in this lifetime, when you meet the individual, if somebody is the individual who's hurting the other, if that person changes their ways, then the karma is actually canceled. And then in the next life, they're just 100% twin flames. There's no karma involved. I've also seen one of the biggest things, and this is what I really wanted to talk about in this recording, karmic partners that turn into soulmates. So a lot of people have asked me, this is my karmic partner, oh my goodness, are we going to remain like this for the rest of our lives? What I have seen through my readings now, and I've done a lot, is that people that are under the category of karmic partners, and the category for me is through my mind's eye because I see that, but also with the help of Angel Fakeel. She tells me and she confirms if that spiritual connection is that type. What's interesting about that is that when we have a karmic partner connection, do we last as karmic partners for the rest of our lives? Even if we end up becoming best friends, living in together, marrying each other, having kids. Doesn't have to be marriage, it could just be partnership, but the commitment is there. The karma is no longer there. The karma is canceled. Once the karma is canceled, that actually means that now you are soulmates. So there's hope for us yet. A lot of people have complained, they have felt sad about this, thinking that I'm a karmic partner and that is all I will ever be. No, that's not how it works. And I never knew any of this. This is all through experience, and this is all through the help of my angel guide, Angel Fakeel. The interesting thing is, the type of connection we have with an individual, if we end up making them happy and they make us happy and we're together forever and ever, then that literally becomes a very strong bond. And all of the negativity, all of the bad karma is gone. And once it's gone, there is no room for bad karma. So at that point in time, no, you are no longer karmic partners. You have actually changed into soulmates. And soulmates, as in my other video you'll see, I've talked about soulmates, that these are people that we meet in our past life, people that we've fallen in love with. Two people that fall in love with each other. There's a meeting of the minds, there's a meeting of the hearts and of the souls. The souls have mated. The way it works is those type of connections are very long term. I've seen people that are married, engaged, betrothed, girlfriend, boyfriend, 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 girlfriend, girlfriend. It's a long-term committed connection. I have seen that in past life readings. However, karmic partner readings are very different. They're very short-term in nature. These are people that have typically had an affair with another individual. But one person was completely in love and they were being used by the other. That right there is absolute bad karma. Using somebody in any way is absolute bad karma, and it either gets you in that lifetime or in another lifetime. The betrayal and any type of negative energy that we send out regarding love, the consequences or the problems that we go through, it can create a lot of negative energy and also bad karma for those that are creating it for us, the people that are doing things to us. And we sometimes as victims, we just take it because we love them. Those actually are negative vibes, and they stay in the environment. They stay in that energy. Energy doesn't go away. It comes back and bites you on the bottom. Usually, it's the individual that's the perpetrator. Here, I also want to just talk about the opposite, how soulmates can turn into karmic partners. It's very easy. You just betray the other person, and then you turn into karmic partners. This also means that in the next life, you will be considered karmic partners if you ever meet again. And what I've seen is when soulmates turn into karmic partners, it's usually when an individual has either betrayed or they have lied, but it's gotten to the point where it truly hurts the other individual. And it hurts them so much that it scars their soul. This is what I call soul trauma. Sometimes I have seen people that were in an abusive relationship in a past life, and in this lifetime, once again, they're in an abusive relationship. That is karma that is repeating. That is what I call a karmic cycle that needs to be broken. Now, only because somebody's doing a past life reading, they understand this stuff and they know this stuff. Otherwise, we have no idea that we are going through this. And my God, we went through this 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. I'm in this cycle and I cannot change because I feel this strange need to be with this individual. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome, but on a soul level. Sometimes we don't know why we repeat the same things. We don't know why we go to the same person over and over again, or even somebody that acts like that person, that looks like that person. Why do we do that? These are all feelings, emotions, and instincts that come through in our mind, through the soul. Only these three things I've seen. Drip by drip, piece by piece, they come through. And all we can actually remember are the feelings, the emotions, and the instincts that we have. Sometimes we have these instincts where we know that's not a good person. But how do you know that? We know we're not supposed to go into that room because it doesn't feel right. Oftentimes, as humans, I've seen that we overlook these things. We don't actually think about why we feel these things, why we have these instincts. Where do they come from? It's because the typical soul is very old. There are a few souls out there, not that many, that are brand new, but the majority of us are very old. And when we are like that, we have a lot of talents, natural abilities. Some people are just natural born leaders, some are scientists. In a past life, they would have been also a scientist in a different way. People who are artists, in a past life, they would have been an artist. We get these natural, what we call God-gifted talents. And this comes from a past life. It comes from those experiences. So the soul is much more older and wiser than who we are. And we is the body / the spirit. The spirit is an energy that is the identity of our body. I've seen that it animates the body. It has an electrical charge. And because of this charge, what happens is we are very animated. We are alive, we walk around, we do whatever we need to do, but without the soul, there's no programming. So the soul is in the crown chakra, in the mind, right there. And what happens is there is no connectivity between the two. They work as a team, but they're still strangers. It takes a lifetime to get to know one another. We may see, for example, someone who passed away at a very young age. Let's say a young girl that was struck by a train. And people that are viewers, people that are passengers, the conductor of the train, people have claimed, oh, I've seen such and such lady. And 10 people do it, 20 people, 50 people do it over the decades. What happens is, why hasn't that particular image changed? Why is it in the same state that it was in back then? Simply because that is the ID, it's the identification of the individual at whatever time they passed away. So if somebody passed away at a very late age, somebody will see an older person, Uncle Bob. Somebody very young, they will see them in that state, and they have not grown up. The spirit itself doesn't grow up. So that is our actual identity. But the feelings and emotions, the experiences, come from a very old being, and that is the soul. The soul has a way of retaining memory throughout lifetimes. I've seen many, many lifetimes, and the capacity is unlimited. The issue is when we are put into a human body, I have seen that the human mind only filters out the three things: the feelings, the emotions, and the instincts. So when we see somebody, we instinctively know and feel that that is my person. I know this person. Why am I so attracted to this person? There are these questions that we ask ourselves. And to us, it doesn't make sense. We tell our friends, we tell our family, I don't know why, but I can't stop thinking about this person. It happens. This individual can't stop thinking about you either. Usually that's the case. Because you have triggered something in them, a memory, and they have triggered something in you. You bring out the best in them, they bring out the best in you, because you have history with them. Now, the important thing I have to mention is when the soul is in the human mind at this point in time, when we are alive right now, it does not have the permission or capacity to remember other past lives, simply because the celestial beings, God, have made it this way so that we don't become overwhelmed with each lifetime, with so many memories from each lifetime. However, when a person passes away, they have, within an instant, all of the knowledge from the past in the spiritual world. All of the knowledge from the past, the different lifetimes that they've had. But in addition to that, they also have access immediately to everything that's in the future, meaning the things that have been written, but they have not actually come true in the 3D. I mentioned earlier that I would talk a little bit about what a future life is. So I have done some readings that are very confusing to me as a person because I'm trying to explain things that I'm seeing in my mind's eye and my vision that I have no idea about what they are. And this sometimes has been technology, mostly technology, and even architecture. A lot of cool things are about to come. So my readings, the farthest I've ever gone is about 300 years. That is so far. That's how far it's gone. Now, in the spiritual realm, what happens is the energy that we have in terms of the soul, it lives in the past, present, and the future because all of that exists at one point in time. So for the soul, it doesn't appear as if that particular story has already taken place in the past. They just know that it's there, and they just realize that I know this. This is how sometimes we have not been in a past life with another individual, but we know that we have been there and we've seen that person and we know that individual. Why? It's not because we've actually had a physical life with them. It's because we know the story that's going to happen in the future in the spiritual world. This is why it's so easy for people to use certain items, which I won't say, which are not good, occult related items, to decipher, to get information from negative energies as to what is my future like. What will he look like? What will she look like? Will I get that home? People ask questions, and it's easy when you are dealing with spiritual entities and things like that, but that's never really good because they can always mislead you too. The important thing to note is that being in the spiritual world, in the spiritual form, that being has the ability, and I don't call it an entity, I call that specific thing a being. The soul for me is a being. It has goodness. That soul has the ability and the capability of seeing the past, present, and the future. And if it has seen the future, and if it enters a human's body, and now we are who we are, there's a part of the soul's memory that has this familiar feeling when it comes to that special person. And no, sometimes I've done readings. It has not been a past life connection. It has been a future life connection where an individual has not yet been with the other person, but they have gone through the entire storyline and they know that this is what is written and this is what's going to happen. Does the person know in real time what this is all about? No, they don't. As a human being, they don't know. But in the spiritual world, if they were able to have an out-of-body experience and see everything and be everything, they would know within a heartbeat that everything is connected. The past, present, future is connected. And we are connected in that way to that specific individual because that energy is so strong. It's like a ribbon that keeps two people together. But it's not just one ribbon. There's multiple ribbons with multiple connections, with multiple people and things. Now I'm going to go over a few things that are in relation to past life readings. Some of you may find this very entertaining. Many of you know that I have the ability of looking into the past, even the present and the future. Somehow I have this ability. And I also have the ability of looking into a soul's memory. So I've realized. It's taken me a while. I have visions, which I never knew that they were actually visions back then. But I realized that, oh, this is what they call a vision. And it is amazing. I have been to places that are so amazingly beautiful, ancient, beyond ancient. The type of readings that I've done, to give you an idea of how vast we are as humans, there are some connections that I have seen that are from the past, from planet Earth, which is fine. That's very normal. Okay, that's normal. Some people don't even believe in past lives, but for me, this is just normal. Okay, then we have future lives, which I just explained. So there are people that we are going to be with in the future if we have an incomplete story. An incomplete story is, for example, a man that was a farmer in the 1600s was engaged, very young, but then there was a battle, and so he had to go off to battle. He left, he never came back. He was engaged to a woman who waited for him. 10 years went by, 20, 30 years. However, that man never came back. He actually, unfortunately, had died in battle. And yet, she thought that he would come back. It was that sadness that didn't allow this woman to move on. This is very common. I have seen this so many times in past life readings where there were these beautiful stories that are written by the celestial beings, approved by God. And it's the soul's goal to be bigger and better than what it was before, to be like angels, to be like the celestial beings, so that one day we can also go and be in other worlds, other places, and help construct, build. That is the ultimate goal. We have to experience as a soul the good, bad, and the ugly. It is all part of what we call the plan. As humans, we don't know this, but as soon as we die, the soul immediately recognizes it all. It all makes sense. It all makes sense. And then you realize, oh, yeah, that was my mission. That was what I was here to do. Sometimes we come to planet Earth and we change our genders. In a past life, there may have been an individual that was very masculine, maybe just a man. And in this lifetime, that man wants to meet the woman again, but he decides to be a female and the woman decides to be a male. So that happens as well. The genders do switch. And the reason they choose to switch is so that they can gain experience in this lifetime and see through the other person's eyes, their perspective. I wanted to just talk about another different kind of reading that I've done that has occurred quite a bit. This is going to sound very, very out there. Bear with me. Not only are there past life readings and future life readings, but there's also the readings of an individual being not a human from before. They were something else before. What were they? I have done probably about 6 or 7 readings at this point in time that are from within our galaxy, but not from planet Earth, in a past life. They don't go beyond this galaxy. That's the extent of what has come to me and my angel guide. I have done readings for people who have actually been elements. That sounds so strange. Elements, airy elements, gaseous elements. One has more of a masculine, the other has feminine. They come together, they merge, they bond, they create another element. Imagine that. Those elements are linked to a soul. Each atom is linked to one particular soul that governs that element. And what I've seen is the feelings and the emotions, they bloody well still exist. It's so strange. As a human, it's very different for an individual to feel all of that because they were an element before and now they are a human. I recently did a reading for somebody like this, and I was shocked because it was the first time I've encountered this, where it was almost 58,000 years ago, and I've never done that before. It was so long ago. I didn't even know what to expect because we're the humans. But as I concentrated more and more, all I saw was this gaseous cloud, and it was different sparkly little elements. But they were mixing and merging with another type of element, and then something new was created. The type of reading I did for my client, they felt very brand new with this individual. And it was amazing because they said they actually felt like this electric connection, this magnetic connection. It was more of an attraction. It was more of a pull. It was very strange the way they were explaining things to me because that is exactly the type of attributes, right? The characteristics of those atoms, the way those molecules were moving around. It was just the most phenomenal thing ever. And I just wanted to share that. I will get into details one day in a book, fingers crossed. Hopefully, I'll be able to write that. But imagine that. We weren't only just people, we were also elements. And the souls were with those elements. Now, in this person's case, how does karma come through in elements? How did that happen? You know how we have gold, silver, copper, bronze? Now imagine if somebody chooses to bond with gold because it is at a higher status, but they do not bond with the bronze. No. That's below me. I'm going to leave the bronze and I'm going to merge with the gold. I don't know how to explain it to you guys, but that's what has happened in this person's past life reading. That is what was called bad karma. Chemically, it may have been the right thing to do, whatever instincts they have. But what I have seen is when that happened, there's this feeling of rejection, and these emotions and feelings do come out, even if they were just simply elements. The soul, the one main soul, is governing this, and it remembers everything. It remembers who rejected, and it remembers why. The feeling of shame, heartache, pain, all of that becomes familiar. And in this lifetime, when this individual goes through that, sometimes it's a karmic cycle that needs to be broken. Sometimes it's only happened once. And sometimes it's switched. If somebody hurt us in a past life, in this lifetime, we are hurting them in return. That is the way karma works. This is what I've seen in almost every reading. Somehow we end up doing things that are hurting people. If it's so bad where it causes soul trauma and emotional trauma to this person, it will actually become a karmic partner connection. Does not matter who you are, where you are. I have done a few readings also where we're not dealing with humans and we're not dealing with elements. We are dealing with what we would call aliens. Very strange. I've done about 2 or 3 readings on those types of beings. The ones that I have done, they are quite different. Each and every single reading that I've done, they do not remotely look like each other. So there's a variety of things out there, guys. And the ones that I have seen are not in the present, they are all in the past. Sometimes people are meant to be together, and sometimes truly they are not, depending on their life circumstances, depending on the way they were born and raised. So many things change as we grow up, and even as we are growing. What I want to just say is many of us have gone through a lot of hardships. People have hurt us. And sometimes we have also hurt other individuals. So karmic connections are being born and they die and they're being recycled. These type of connections exist, but they are not permanent. They can be canceled if you cancel the karma. If you do something equally as good and maintain it, then the connection will become a soulmate connection. I hope I was able to provide you with some clarity, some guidance in your own personal situations regarding karmic partners and karmic connections. These things come and go. Sometimes it can be within this lifetime, sometimes it can be within the next. But at the end of the day, it's always good to be good. You do good, you get good, right? For those of you who are new, please do have a look at some of my other audio recordings, which are related to spiritual connections. There's some that are on past life and spiritual connections, and some are just strictly the type, twin flame, soulmate, karmic partner. If you wanted to know more about that, I do have the links below in the description. Thank you all for tuning in, and please feel free to share in the comments below. Tell me your stories. I do love reading them. And please do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. All right, you all take care, stay safe, and I will see you guys again. Bye now.